Hello everybody, it's me, Riff Raff Hornhelm, and I'm back again with another presentation from the Dwarven Vault, and today we have a monster review. Now, we've done all kinds of undead things, but we have a couple here that are going to be necessary for an upcoming story. So first, today, we're going to talk to you about the NIXIE. Yep, the NIXIE. As seen in the original monster manual, as used with basic Dungeons and Dragons and advanced Dungeons and Dragons, or what's typically known today as 1E. So the NIXIE, they're about the height of a dwarf, actually a little bit shorter. And they're green, kind of a pale green. And I think their hair is like a darker green. They have silver eyes. Pretty cool. And their skin is like really finely scaled. Like, maybe like what you'd see on certain types of fish. And they have webbed fingers and webbed toes. Huh. You can see a fair number of them. I mean, up to 80 at a time. And they only have 1 to 4 hit points each. Now, you find these in inland lakes. Deep lakes in particular. They like to build their own dwellings, so to speak, out of seaweed, and they're, unless you're about 20 feet away, you don't even know they're there. I mean, they're even invisible to sonar. It's weird. That's just for reference. And of course, for the way they look, I mean, it's only an armor class 7. Now, they're very intelligent. Though they only speak common tongue, and then they have their own NIXIE language of some kind. Still not a bad combination. Their attack is by weapon type. They typically use a javelin, which I think they can throw like 30 or 40 feet underwater and skewer you. And like knives and stuff like that. Not really a fighting race, so to speak. They do have a 25% resistance to magic, which is pretty amazing right there, with only 1 to 4 hit points. So that's pretty nice. And like I said, though they're very intelligent and so forth, they're not building some kind of Atlantean society in the deep or something like that. They're a very simple folk. Now, one of the things they can do is, as a group, they can combine together to cast a charm spell. And if they cast it on a human, you have to make your save at -2. If you don't make your save, you go down to their dwelling and live there for a year. Now, that year is obviously subject to change depending on the DM, all that kind of good stuff. And of course, you might ask, and I'm not surprised that you do, well, yeah, do they drown? No, the NIXIEs are able to provide the poor human that's going to be stuck there for a year with a means of breathing underwater. But only for the time that they're there. At the end of the year, for some odd reason, they just let you go. Not sure I understand that part, but that's how it works. Now, these creatures don't like fire. They don't like bright lights. You can hold them back with like a continual light spell, things like this. They don't like bright lights and fire in any way, shape, or form. Bothers them quite a bit. And like I said, they're not very tall, only about 4 feet tall. And their dwellings, once they build them, will have guardians. They get along really well with 2 species of fish, giant pike and giant gar. And they'll typically have a few or more, usually somewhere between like 2 and 6, something like that, of one or the other, or both species, that they use as guards and are able to give them simple commands, kind of like you would to a watchdog or something of that nature. Now, because they live in lakes specifically and not oceans, they prefer deep inland lakes. You're not going to find these in the ocean. This is not something that interacts with mermen or something like that. Um, they're very singular to inland waters, which makes sense when you think of the types of fish that they have guarding their seaweed dwelling. So the NIXIE is kind of a cool character if you're doing any kind of scenario with like a mountain lake, a deep mountain lake or something like that. That's going to work really well with something like a NIXIE. And it may be a surprise for your adventuring party who's more used to running into creatures like that in an ocean setting and not in inland waters. So they're definitely usable on that side. In fact, when I talked to the greater Hornhelm community about this on the NIXIE, was surprised. I mean, most people came back and said, yeah, a clear 2. That was on the high end, I thought. But I can't really disagree. Between the magic resistance and their ability to charm humans and lure them away for a year, that's a pretty nice combination. And they have some fairly adept allies in having, if you have a 10 or a 12-foot long pike or gar that's going to attack you as a human, I mean, that's like Jaws. That's a pretty big fish. I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end, especially underwater if you don't have free movement. Very difficult to deal with. But then again, they don't have a ton of treasure. So running into these is usually going to be in the process of going from A to B, and it's going to be somewhere in between. There's not a lot of reason to interact directly with NIXIEs unless one of them has managed to spirit away a party member or, the mayor's daughter or something like that. Now, talking to the Hornhelm community on the player side, asking them about NIXIEs, I was kind of surprised. I got 2 to 2.5. And it's mostly because when players have had an interaction with them, that charm spell thing and the fact that they're not very easy to attack, they thought they were fairly difficult. They may not have a lot of hit points, but they weren't very easy to get to and hit. Oh well, as long as it works. So that, my friends, is the NIXIE. We hope you found this entertaining and useful, informative, all that kind of good stuff. If you did, please be so kind as to leave us a like. Consider subscribing, share with your friends, leave us a comment. But most importantly, come back and see us again real soon. Thank you so much for your kind support. Take care, everyone. Dwarves rock!